Hi friends, it is Claire from Woodshed Theory, and today we're doing another episode of Claire Unscripted, and we're going to be talking about masking, so please stick around. Hey guys, I am Claire. I put out videos 3 times a week, so if you are interested in learning more about what it is like as an adult on the spectrum, or if you like creative videos, or if you are lonely and want to hear a voice in the background sometimes, please subscribe. I'd love to have you here. I thought today would be kind of fun to do more of a casual video and talk about autism and masking. Now, the term masking gets thrown around a lot in our community, so I thought it might be a good term to explain for people who are neurotypical and don't know what masking is, and just get everyone on the same page. What is it? Why do we do it? Why is it a thing in autism? Etc. And to do that, I thought it'd be fun to put on a mask and give myself a little spa treatment. So, coming up with good ideas over here. So I guess the first question would be, what is masking? Masking is a mostly subconscious behavior done by autistic people, and really what it is anytime an autistic person has to interact with another being, they will normally act in a way as to mask their autism symptoms in order to better fit into a more neurotypical situation. Now, I mentioned that masking is usually a subconscious thing, and I really do mean that. It's not like when I go out in public, I'm thinking to myself, all right, it's time to put on the mask. Sometimes it can feel that way, but I'm not thinking in the moment, all right, let's put the mask on to blend in. But usually with my social anxiety, it's more like, I don't know, it's go time, it's time to be on. I don't know the best way to describe it. You may have heard people say before that people with autism are good actors, and that's really because we're good at masking. We have, for our entire lives, especially late diagnosed people, been trying to cover up the parts of us that make us who we are as autistic people, to make neurotypical people feel more comfortable. So, for example, when I was a younger child, teenager, I would say the weirdest things. I would wear super weird stuff just because I just didn't fit in. Like, I was doing my own thing. And I learned over time, and that's just one example, like the clothing that I wore, that I needed to dress more appropriately. I needed to appear more neurotypical if me being out in society was gonna work, if that makes sense. So that's what masking is. But then an obvious question that I would have is, well, everyone masks a little bit, right? Because even in workplace situations, I've gotten the advice before to, like, leave leave whatever at the door when you get into work and just basically become a different person. And that's what autistic people are doing all the time. However, as I've mentioned before, and I'll probably mention many times again, autistic traits are human traits. So yes, it is possible for a neurotypical person to mask who they really are in order to fit in. But usually that's more situational and intentional, whereas an autistic person would be doing it almost without even knowing it. That raises the question of, well, then how do you know who you are as an autistic person? And that's a great question that I am still trying to figure out. Who is Claire? And when I interact with people, how can I be my most authentic self without masking? Masking can really, just like everything else in autism, it could look like a lot of different things. It could look like having to speak out loud if you're typically nonverbal and pretending that that's not an issue for you. It could be hiding the stims or stimulating activities that you do to regulate your emotions. For example, some people are handshakers. I'm a head bobber myself. Holding that regulating stimulatory behavior in so that other people don't see it because it's considered weird. That would be another example of masking. So not necessarily trying to purposefully be a different person, but or subconsciously presenting as a different person to save face. I was not diagnosed until I was in my 30s, and I would say I probably spent the last 15 to 18 years just masking all the different parts of myself, trying to keep up with society. And now that I know that I am on the spectrum, it has been really freeing to explore my interests and behaviors and coping mechanisms to a fuller extent so that I feel more comfortable in this world as a person, as opposed to constantly being worried about how do I act and what does that mean and what are people going to think. I don't have as much of that worry any longer. As far as the long-term effects of masking long-term can lead to meltdowns. It can lead to burning out completely as a person. Obviously, if you're in a position where you have to be around people all the time and constantly show them this neurotypical image of yourself that isn't real, it is really distressing and becomes exhausting, and eventually an autistic person can just shut down from that. There is a lot of talk in the autistic community about, should you take the mask off? And that is a question I'm just not at the moment ready to answer, because I'm still on my journey trying to figure out what is best for me. I know that I, since being diagnosed and sharing that with the world, feel it was very freeing for me. So I feel that I have the freedom to start to explore what not masking looks like for me. And that has really helped with my stress and anxiety. But I don't know that it's the right thing for everybody. Yeah, it's hard to say. When you mask for the first 30 years of your life or whatever, and that you don't know that you're doing it, and then you find out that you are doing it, and that feeling that you get when you're around other people and you're trying to keep up and you're trying to be a certain person. I mean, in one aspect, it's great because autistic people are amazing actors and they can take on different personalities with different people that they're with. I mean, anything down to, you know, mirroring other people's speech patterns or movements. You know, I think we're pretty great at mimicking and allowing ourselves to fit in that way. But what happens is you lose your sense of self. And that's really what I've been working on in the past year, is trying to rediscover my sense of self and to feel confident in being Claire and confident in sharing that with other people. I'm pretty happy with the way it's been going, but I know that masking will always be somewhat a part of my life. I would be interested to know from the people watching what your experience with masking has been, and if you were diagnosed later in life, what do you think about masking, and have you changed your masking behaviors since finding that you were on the spectrum, or have you kept them? Or maybe you've kept some of them, or you mask around some people and not other people. I just wanted to bring up the conversation because I can understand why someone who wasn't experiencing it would be confused. But masking as an autistic person isn't the person trying to be fake or to be manipulative. It's really what the autistic brain is doing to try and survive without being able to fit into social situations or read facial expressions or understand context clues of a social situation. We are masking to get ourselves through that. And speaking of masks, this is one of my favorite masks to get, but this is just from Target. I believe it's $3.99 for the pack, and it is the Holler and Glow Smashing It Babe Nourishing Clay Face Mask with avocado oil. I'll do like the early aughts beauty guru thing. So highly recommend that one if you're looking for kind of your stereotypical green face mask. This one's really nice and cooling. So that's really everything I wanted to talk about today. I am sorry again that this was another unscripted video, but I do want everyone to know that I have some big things coming up as far as life moves, and a lot of the things that were causing a lot of stress in my life are being resolved, and I'm feeling a lot better. So I'm excited for that, and I'm happy that y'all are on this journey with me. I hope that you have a wonderful Monday, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye. Smoke it!